Welcome to lesson 14 of the living world, and this is all about how people use hot desert environments and what opportunities they offer. As you started your research last week on the Sahara Desert, we're going to continue looking at the same area, and we're going to look at the opportunities it provides for the people that live there, the government of the local area, and how people use it to make money and create jobs. The first thing you need to do is, if you have the worksheet that's also attached, there is a particular box for this. Otherwise, you just need to do this on your paper. Can you please write a 2 to 3 sentence description of where you would find the Sahara Desert? Remember that you need to look at the continent you'd find it on, the countries it covers. Remember to use your compass direction, so is it in the north of that continent, the east of it, etc. And write this on your paper or on your worksheet. The next thing I'd like you to do, please, is to take a look at these pictures that you can see on the screen here. What do you think some of the opportunities of living in a desert environment may be? So pause this screen, have a look at these pictures for a minute or so, and see if you can work out what the opportunities of hot deserts are. Hopefully you've worked out that there are a whole range of different opportunities, including tourism. So you can see some people on a camel trek. You've got some wind turbines there, showing that it's ideal for energy production. You've got really big exposed open areas, which are ideal for whipping up some wind. We've got lots of resources being dug out of the ground, so mineral extraction. We've got some farming happening there. And we've also got some evidence of building. Unsurprisingly, not many people live in the Sahara Desert. If you think about what the environment is like, what the ground is like, it's really difficult to build on. It's really difficult weather-wise. It's very, very hot. There's very little in the way of fresh water, which is something people need to survive. So not many people actually live in the Sahara all year round. In fact, in the 3.5 million square miles of the Sahara Desert, only 2.5 million people live there. And these people generally live close to water sources like lakes or rivers. But even though few people live in this area, the people that do live in this area have adapted really intelligently to be able to use the environment around them to make jobs and to make money. All right, the next activity you're going to do then, if you have the worksheet, is going to go into this table that you can see on the screen at the moment. If you don't have the worksheet, that's fine. Please just draw a table that looks like that, put the headings in. The important thing is that in the left-hand side of the table where you have to describe the opportunities, that you do just that. You just write what the opportunity is and how it works. In the right-hand side column, you then need to go on and do that explain part as if you were writing a pill paragraph and explain how doing this particular thing will help people in that area to make jobs, to make money, and to improve their lives. The first way that people use this environment then is tourism. So we've talked a little bit about tourism when we're looking at the tropical rainforests, but hot deserts also offer opportunities for tourism. It is usually what we call extreme tourism, and that's because the environment itself is extreme. So it's not your typical kind of beach holiday. People tend to do more extreme sports like sandboarding, trekking, camel treks, or they might go to visit some of the particular locations here. One of the up and coming types of tourism is actually film tourism, because some of the areas within the Sahara, like Tunisia and Algeria, were used to film things like Star Wars films. So that is a kind of new and up and coming type of tourism that's helping people in that area to make money and make jobs. The next one, this is a really important use of the Sahara in terms of the whole world, is for solar energy production. as we looked at the climate last week, it is the ideal environment for solar energy production because it gets almost unbroken sunshine all year round. And because it's at the equator, it gets very strong sunshine as well. So they have 12 hours of sunshine almost every single day. It's reliable. It will create the same amount of solar power every day. And if we could properly harness it, if we could get enough of the right technology there, we could power the entire world's electricity needs from 1% of the Sahara's potential energy, basically. So it's a massive industry. And it's also an industry that lots of other countries have started to realise could make them money and could make them rely less on things like oil and coal. And so in Morocco, the European Union have actually invested and built the largest solar power plant in the world. So you can see on this picture here on the bottom right, this is in a place called Noor in Morocco. And it is the size of 200 football pitches covered in curved mirrors. And they're curved to allow the maximum sunlight to be captured at whatever angle it is. And this covers 16 million square feet and provides a huge amount of solar energy. Remember that this also creates jobs for people in not only building the solar farms, but also maintaining them as well. Mineral production is another really important way for people who live in the countries that cover the Sahara, because the minerals are not especially difficult to get out of the ground. Usually it doesn't require a huge amount of technology. And there are huge resources of things that you don't really find in many other places around the world. So phosphate is one of them. And phosphate is used in huge amounts of different things like cleaning products, gardening products, batteries, fertilizers. And Morocco is the world's largest exporter of this. There are also metals like iron ore deposits in Algeria and uranium, which is used for nuclear energy production, is also found in the Sahara, and that's a really, really valuable finite resource. As well as that, oil and gas is abundant in this area. 60% of all the money that Algeria makes comes from oil and gas, and there are oil and gas fields in Libya, Tunisia, Algeria, and Egypt. The final way that people use this area then is through farming. Farming is incredibly difficult in the Sahara because of the conditions there, because of the lack of rainfall, the poor quality of the soil. It's very difficult to make a good living farming. A lot of people who live in the Sahara do something called subsistence farming, which is where they only grow enough food to support themselves. But it can be done on a larger scale if you are in an area where you have irrigation water. So, if you're in an area which is near to some kind of water source, a river or a lake, and you are able to take some of that water and use it to water your crops, basically. So, irrigation is something we'll talk about a lot more in our next topic, where we look at the challenge of resource management. But irrigating crops is done through digging channels from a water source to your fields, to your crops, or it can be done by extracting water from underground sources called aquifers. It's quite difficult to do, it's quite expensive to do, so it's only the sort of thing that larger companies would be able to do. Your average kind of lone farmer wouldn't be able to do that unless they had a lot of money. But it can be done, and the Aswan Dam in Egypt is a project that was actually created by the Egyptian government, along with a few other people, to provide these irrigation channels for farmers around the area. Okay, nice easy activity for you now. We have a fill in the blanks activity. If you have the worksheet, this will be nice and easy for you. If you don't have the worksheet, I'm afraid this might be a little bit more time consuming because you going to need to write out the whole thing, but it's only a few sentences, so it shouldn't take you too long. You need to please put the correct word from the box at the bottom into the gap, and this is going to give you a perfect 6-mark answer. So it's really important that you have this in your folders. Please pause this slide while you do it, and then the answers will appear on the next one. Okay, these are the answers that you should have had. I have studied the Sahara Desert, which includes countries such as Morocco, Tunisia, Algeria, and Egypt. A major challenge is the extreme temperatures which reach 40 degrees during the day. This leads to problems of heat stroke and exposure for people working in the open. A further challenge is lack of rain, meaning that little water is available, and this makes survival difficult and settled farming impossible. Settled farming is where people always farm in the same place, they don't move around. Another challenge is the inaccessibility, as the Sahara is huge and has few roads or railways. This means that air travel is the only real option, and getting medical care can be a problem as it could take several days' travel. Tarmac roads can melt in the sun. The Sahara provides opportunities for economic development. One huge opportunity is the extraction of mineral resources. Morocco is the world's largest exporter of phosphorus, which is used in fertilizers. Algeria gets 60% of its income from oil. This industry provides jobs for 40,000 people and brings wealth into the country. Tunisia is developing solar power to take advantage of the constant, strong sunshine. So if you got those answers right, fantastic, give yourself a tick. If you didn't, just make sure you've corrected them, because as I say, this is a perfect 6-mark answer to that question and is really handy for you to have in your folders for revision. Last activity for you to do today then, please. This is going to rely on you having done the notes in the first activity and the second activity. I have created for you another structure strip, which is what we used for our last 9-mark question a few weeks ago. And today's question is, to what extent are the opportunities in deserts outweighed by the challenges? So you are going to be using the structure strip. You'll see it's got sentence starters. Please make sure you use the sentence starters if you're not sure how to start your paragraphs off. They're there for a reason. Don't feel like you shouldn't use them. They'll help you make a much better answer than if you just kind of go off freestyle. You need to have a go at answering this question for me, please. Again, if you've got the worksheet, then by all means do it on the worksheet, but otherwise, please feel free to type it or handwrite it. I would like you to send me this piece of work, please. So you need to submit your 9-mark question via Show My Homework. I had some really good ones the last time we did a 9-mark question, so I look forward to seeing them. And then you'll see there's some boxes on the bottom for me to explain what went well and how you could improve. And I look forward to reading these. See you next lesson.